no bait and switch. If you hadn't seen it, it was the footage straight up, or it looked straight up anyway. And the footage, depending on what kind of perspective you have, and we'll talk about that in a minute. It shows, CM Punk walk up to Jack Perry, they exchange words, and then depending on your perspective, it's either a punch or a push, and then a choke, and then a lunge after somebody behind a desk, and then it gets broken up. So I mean, it amounted to like a high school dust up, but also not something that you can have at a workplace, like inappropriate without question. And if like something like that happened at a baseball locker room or an NFL locker room or NBA locker room, there would certainly be consequences. But the root of this issue is not so much what happened, because pretty much what happened on the tape is what we were told happened for the last handful of months, with like little perspective tweaks and lenses, I think that can change looking at it. But generally speaking, it's exactly what we all heard it was. But the idea here is, should this have aired on AEW television or not? And it was, that was the crux of the discussion. The Young Bucks worked this into the storyline. That was certainly the purpose of, airing it on television, was to show the audience what distracted them heading into their match with FTR at All In. And they credit this moment and this fight and them having to put on their EVP hats to deal with it that distracted them from the match, which is why they lost the match. And so they tried to tie that together. Tyler, I thought this was just complete nonsense. I thought it was just complete nonsense and silliness. I mean, yes, they tried to put it in the storyline canon, but the dots they're trying to connect are so far from necessary. You could have told this exact story without doing that. So to me, there's no real plausible deniability of, oh, well, we had to air this because it's needed for our story. It wasn't. And this was what it always was. It's a ratings ploy, and it's a dig at CM Punk, and it's a dig at WWE. And the disguise is, oh, wait a minute, it's story. So much ado about nothing in a lot of ways. Bad judgment in every way to me, and unnecessary. But that's my takeaway on this coming out. How about you? What'd you think?
Yeah, I'm trying to think of on Tuesday we were talking about, like the best and worst case scenarios, and there's really no best case scenario. There were just levels of this where, we could kind of move on and go from there. It wasn't quite that, but this is pretty bad. 8 out of 10. I think it's, universally one of the worst decisions Tony Khan's ever made. Maybe having CM Punk out there when he's hot at the press conference is the other one that I could put up there. But from a personal decision that you had plenty of time to think about, right? When did they advertise this? This was on Sunday afternoon or Saturday? At Collision?
No. Yeah, I think it was Saturday.
Monday?
I think it was Saturday.
Okay,
Saturday.
Yeah, I mean, to have 5 days to think about, to do it or not do it, on top of, post-interview, what was that, a Thursday was the Punk interview? Or Wednesday?
Thursday.
I think it was Thursday morning, yeah, because I asked you to listen to it early Thursday. So, just the worst decision with a lot of time in front of you where you control it happening or not happening, right? I think that pretty much goes without saying, worse than any other booking decision or storyline decision that I can think of off the top of my head, right? So, so that's not good when you're at that point 5 years in. I guess, it's all uphill from here. But, I would push back on your locker room thing. I think that happens a lot in sports. Someone in your town that was won a lot of championships did that with the second best player on his team, right? Or
True.
No, Steve Kerr. He punched Steve Kerr, right? Or everybody. Yes. Punched everybody probably. So, I don't know if that's Punk trying to be too much like Michael Jordan there. But, I think it does happen probably more so in the past without everything being recorded. But I do think there's some animosity that people get past when they're adults and move past it. A scuffle like this, right? Because this is like a scuffle, right? From a brawl to a scuffle, to a brouhaha. This is like on the scuffle, right? Like you said, this is something that would happen at lunch in high school, that maybe somebody would get a 1-day in-day suspension, right? That's like the level of violence that we saw. You know, some people might fear for their life on that, some might not, but you know, you decide there. But yeah, not good. Totally lambasted online by the fans that Tony cares about, right? Or the fans that live and die online. They're all roasting him, so I'm sure Tony's not having a very good mental health day. So thoughts are with him. And also, did you see the live feed? Like someone recorded the in-arena reaction. Did you see this?
I did see that, yes. Okay. And that's not what you wanted. Like, Jesus, yeah.
Yeah. So let's explain what, if you didn't see it, it's the crowd chanting CM Punk as, you know, the video's out playing, and then cheering when he attacks Perry, and then thank you, Punk. So yeah, not ideal, I would say. The reaction that you want there, unless Tony Khan is gonna make lemonade here and turn himself into Mr. Khan, which I think is fraught anyway. But hey, at this point, you might as well. So
yeah, I think that's a good analysis. And yeah, we're on the same page. We're on the same page with this. Like you know, I look at what happened, and yeah, look, like I mean, I don't. Neither one of us is like advocating for fights with your coworkers. Like and no one, I'm not. And if you guys all remember back to when this happened, excuse me, Tyler and I were like, yeah, Punk, like you can't be fighting backstage, you know, like you just like it's just not a good look, not a good anything. And you know, you get what you get afterwards. And so like when we talk, and I don't want to speak for you, Tyler, so definitely push back if I'm not correct here. But when we're talking about this, it's from the perspective of like, should this air on television as part of a storyline? Like, I want to make that abundantly clear. Like, it's not an advocate for like, or at least not for me. It's not an advocate of like, Jack Perry's such a wuss, or man, look at Punk, look at him being a man and being such a badass. Like, it's not that either. It's just the notion that you put this on TV as a canon, a storyline, something that, you know, you tried too hard. You tried too hard to connect FTR and the Young Bucks to CM Punk versus Jack Perry fight backstage because you just wanted to do that. You just wanted to put it out there. You wanted to get people to watch your show because you're going to play this footage. And that is the inherent misstep.